Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 7. This is going to be my trailer breakdown for Episode 7 for this season, so Episode 7 of Season 7, otherwise entitled Growing Pains. But of course, let's watch the trailer before anything else. Let's watch it.
She's the Speed Force. She powers my abilities.
I'm like your battery now.
Having you at a crime scene might not be a great idea.
I can help boost your speed. I can feel how frustrated you are. How can I help?
I didn't ask for any.
It tastes like there's 78 cents in my mouth.
So your last episode was a very interesting episode. It was a very Barry-less episode, if that makes sense, because we spent, I'd say, about 80% of the episode, roughly 75% of the episode with Chester and Cisco in a 1998 simulation dome WandaVision / Groundhog Day sort of scenario episode, which sets up a decent amount, I'd say, based off the fact that it didn't involve Barry. So we got the Still Force introduced through Dion Owens. In the comics, it's Steadfast, but I don't think he's Steadfast. He's just Dion Owens, the holder of the Still Force, and we learn what's going on with him. Chester talks him down, however, it sets him on potentially a more damaging path. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see where that goes going forward. And we, of course, had the Speed Force, aka Nora, you know, dealing with some stuff, but also there's some suspicious stuff going on where it seems that there's just another plan going forward with that. And this trailer heavily hints at it, in my opinion, based on visual stuff. And we'll talk about that once we get into the breakdown and everything like that. And of course, we saw Joe warning Frost, saying like, yo, Kristen Kramer, there's women's, you know, after you, want to lay low. And Frost is like, nope, I'm going to head out on the town. So she's going out and, well, I think she might regret that in this episode. But of course, before we get into the actual breakdown of the trailer, we will quickly go over the synopsis or description for the episode, as it does give us a bit more context as to what's going on in the episode. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know your various opinions, thoughts, theories, anything like that, what you're looking forward to the most from this episode. Let me know all of that in the comment section down below. I'm always curious. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you're looking forward to this episode, it would be awesome if you drop a like on the video to show support for the video and the channel. When a mysterious ice-powered enemy frames Frost for a brutal crime, she must find a way to clear her name. Meanwhile, Barry and Iris have a surprise house guest, and Joe continues to deal with Kristen Kramer. Now, just specifically on the synopsis, because like the surprise house guest had people guessing back and forth before, as we know from the end of last episode, it's the Speed Force or Nora, and I don't know if it's going to be anyone else showing up, so I think it's safe to assume that it's her. That's the surprise house guest. So it's not Bart Allen, it's not Santa Claus, it's not the Grinch. It's, why are we going Christmas themed? I don't know. But yeah, Speed Force, that's who it is. But the first thing I need to mention before we get into the breakdown, well, actually there's two things, but the big one, because it's going to apply to a lot of you, is that there is a 3-week break after this episode. So don't worry, this episode's coming out this week. However, afterwards is a 3-week break, and we will return on May the 4th. So May the 4th be with you. Now, that episode, being episode 8, is called The People vs. Killer Frost. So based off what it looks like is going down in parts of this episode with Frost, as well as the synopsis, there should be a cliffhanger around her and some others that lead into that episode. Now, seeing that they actually got to plan this break and probably set up, like, yeah, we're taking a break episode 7 and everything like that, I'd assume they, you know, picked the episode properly with a good enough cliffhanger to serve that 3-week break. I'd assume that at least. We'll have to wait and see. But seeing that we know what goes on with Frost in this episode, or it looks like it's going to go down, and then the episode title for episode 8, The People vs. Killer Frost, I'd assume these two episodes to connect fairly well with a decent cliffhanger. But speaking of Frost, we do have Chillblaine debuting this episode, played by John Core. This was announced ages ago. I'm surprised they just don't say Chillblaine in the synopsis, because they publicly announced that, like it was a big casting reveal thing. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he looks like and everything like that, but we'll talk about him more when we jump into this breakdown. But we start off the trailer with us seeing the Speed Force, or Nora, living with Barry and Iris, and Barry is overcharged, if you want to call it. He's too powerful. Now, this, as we hear later in the trailer, appears to be because the Speed Force is near Barry, like standing right next to Barry. If she is close, Barry gets like a a supercharge or super pump of speed to the point, at least early on from the looks of it based off the trailer, that Barry won't be able to control it. It's almost like when he first got his powers back in, season 1, episode 1. I wonder if they'll do like a bit of a throwback there. You can even see that Iris looks concerned in the trailer, and Barry also seems suspicious of the Speed Force at the end of last episode when she was walking away. So I wonder who'll be the first one to bring it up properly, that something isn't right, with her and what's going on. I think it's going to be a very interesting episode, or episodes, maybe episode 7, 8, and maybe 9 or something, jumping into this issue with the Speed Force. But speaking of the Speed Force, she joins Barry on duty, goes to work to a crime scene. Now, this is going to be an issue if she just looks like that. If she's just walking around looking like that, as we see her, wow. I mean, it was an issue with her and Jitters last episode that I realized when I rewatched the episode. Watching it the first time, I didn't really even think about it, to be completely honest, because we just had like Wells walking around all the time. And then I was rewatching, I was like, hold on. Some people would recognize her, I'm sure. And it's going to be an issue here, especially at a crime scene where there's cops. Nora Allen's murder wasn't a small thing back in the day. Sure, most people wouldn't recognize her nowadays. She's not Dwayne Johnson, but someone every now and then would, especially at a crime scene. A cop every now and then. Unless Joe sanctions off the thing, like clears, like, oh, only me and, CSI Allen can be here. So I'd have to assume it's a situation that we've seen in the past with Wells, where to us and I guess Team Flash and Barry, she looks like Nora, but to everyone else, she looks like someone else, or potentially isn't visible at all. She's like invisible, which I don't think would make sense either. Like Barry's talking, because Barry seems what I'd assume would be talking to her. So he's talking to nothing. Hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense. I don't know if they will. I know there's a Speed Force power where she can just randomly choose who she appears to people and what. Maybe if someone approaches them, she can quickly change and look like, I don't know, someone random, just some random cop or something. We'll have to wait and see. It could be a potential issue. We'll have to wait and see, because as I said, Jitters, but they didn't address it then, so will they address it this episode? We'll have to wait and see. But back to, Barry and the Speed Force at the crime scene. And Barry seems to have like an overload of speed energy at that point, but that's not the important part, might I say. In the background, you can see a car or a van covered in ice at the front, or like frozen. And this is actually an Ivo Labs vehicle. You can see like the I and the V, I think, on the right-hand side. So you'd have to assume this is Chillblaine framing Frost. Now, I guess the big thing around this is whether he took anything from the vehicle. I mean, it's an Ivo Labs vehicle. You'd have to think there'd be something in there that's worth doing it. They say in the synopsis it's a brutal crime, so I wonder if this is the brutal crime. There's like a javelin of ice almost through the thing, so I don't know if that's gone through someone's head or something, I'm not too sure. But the Ivo Labs vehicle appears to have been targeted, so it's what, the person wanted, I guess. Maybe it's something for a weapon that he might use if he does use a gun like Captain Cold, which Chillblaine does use in the comics. In the comics, it's pretty much like a Captain Cold ripoff, but not like just for the sake of ripping off. Like that's the whole point of the character pretty much. And he ends up like dating Captain Cold's sister. I think he actually kills Captain Cold's sister, Golden Glider. Anyway, there's a comics info drop, but he uses a weapon in the comics. I don't know if they're going to make him a meta. The synopsis does suggest that he's a meta when they say like an ice powered enemy, but you could argue that Captain Cold's an ice powered enemy because he uses a gun. It's hard to be 100% sure. We'll have to wait and see. Now, Kristen Kramer is also at this scene. I know she's just casually driving by or intended to get here because it was an ice-powered thing. Now, Barry runs into the back of her car with the overload of energy, which is like, I wonder if she's going to see him run away. That might be a bit of a bad move for Barry. I have to wait and see. Now, one thing with Kristen Kramer, she's targeting Frost. And I wonder whether they're going to connect it, whether maybe Chillblaine did something that impacted Kristen, but she thinks it was Frost due to like, or Killer Frost, I guess, is like notoriety within Central City. So I wonder if that's what's happened there. We might get some reveals this episode, maybe the next one, in regards to all of that maybe Chillblaine did something when it killed a family member of Kristen Kramer or a loved one, something along those lines, and she just thinks it was Killer Frost, but in fact it was this Chillblaine guy. We'll have to wait and see. You'd have to think there'd be some answers or some things revealed as to why Kristen is so, dedicated to taking down Frost. But here's the big thing, and I am curious to see whether they sort of talk about in this episode and whether Barry brings it up. But the Speed Force, and you saw this last episode, you saw it on the walls. You didn't actually see it on the character running away from memory, but you saw it on like the walls, like the lightning flickering and like the reflections or the light that comes from the lightning, if that makes sense. The Speed Force, or Nora, has blue, red, and yellow lightning, which is, of course, the lightning of the Speed Force, that being yellow, but it also has the colors of the Strength Force, that being red, and the Sage Force, that being blue, who she says tried to attack her. However, if she has those two Force colors, what if she was the one attacking them? And maybe she just wasn't powerful enough at the time or used all the energy trying to get them. You would notice that she doesn't have green lightning, which is the Still Force. And that's because Dion has just emerged, and clearly this, Speed Force, if you want to call them, or whatever is taking the appearance of Nora, hasn't got to Dion yet, which we might see in this episode or the next episode after, or something along those lines. So I guess the big question around this is, well, is the Speed Force, or whatever this thing is that Nora is representing, are they going to be the villain for this graphic novel? Are they trying to gain control of all the forces? In the comics, in this Force Quest storyline, Hunter Zolomon is sort of the one trying to get all these forces and everything like that. So I wonder if they replaced it where this old representation of the Speed Force is the one actually trying to do it. Because we don't know, with this new thing that came about with Iris back in episode 3, I think it was, whether there actually is this representation or the Speed Force is just there. We don't know there actually has to be this representation. Maybe when the Speed Force died, the old representation of it, or the old being that was sort of within it, was elsewhere. And then when it got activated again, it became able to like sort of tap into all these forces potentially and got power hungry. I'm very curious to see where they go. I don't know exactly where they're going to go. If they're just going the Hunter Zolomon route and this like Speed Force, or this thing that Nora is representing wants to be like almighty and all powerful with all the different force abilities, that would be pretty overpowered. I'm not too sure if I'm necessarily on board of making Barry's mum a villain. I know it's just representing it, but just the whole thing of it might be a bit weird, but I don't know. It seems like they're going down that route, but there's something suspicious up with her regardless, even if they don't go down that route. Maybe she's hiding a secret. I'm very curious to see where they go with it. Now, there's no promo images for this episode at the time of making this video. If they come out and there's anything of note, I'll make a video including them. But for now, there's nothing to talk about in regards to those. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions on this. What you're looking forward to most from this episode. If you have any theories, general thoughts, opinions, all that, let me know in the comments section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.